Hi, guys, and welcome back. My name is Tamika. I'm a nurse practitioner and holistic health and wellness coach. I help people reverse chronic disease, improve symptoms, and achieve healthy, sustainable weight loss through diet and lifestyle changes. So, click the link in my bio if you want to learn more about what I'm doing. So, today we're just kind of wrapping up the common causes of overeating. I released, what was it, videos in regards to some of the common causes of overeating and what you can do about it. So I just wanted to cover some of those things again and make sure that nobody had any questions in regards to that. And please feel free to leave questions or comments or in regards to health, wellness, weight loss. But in the meantime, I'll just be talking about the common causes of overeating. So in part one, I mentioned a heavily processed food diet. And this is a very common cause of overeating because of a variety of reasons. Processed foods are designed to make you want to overeat. Processed food is not real food, especially the ultra processed foods that have a lot of the preservatives, artificial flavorings, and a variety of chemicals created in labs to hijack your hunger and satiety signaling and put you just on a roller coaster of flavors and you know all sorts of symptoms after consuming them, and some of that can be due to just the overconsumption of the processed foods. And so, with a heavily processed diet, so that's one part, is there's a lot of chemicals that will interfere with your satiety signaling and will contribute to you eating more even if you're satisfied. Just like they say with the potato chips, you can't eat just one. That is specifically designed by food scientists to make you overeat them. Another reason is ultra processed foods are high in calories but low in nutrition. And even if you're eating an abundance of calories or the food volume can be large, if you're not giving your body enough nutrition to function optimally, then you are likely to overeat. If you're not giving your body what it needs to function on a day to day basis, you're still going to be receiving hunger signals, even if you're eating frequently, if you're eating a lot of processed foods. So that's another way that you'll overeat because you're still not giving your body proper nutrition. So that's something to be mindful of. And and so, with a heavily processed diet, you're likely to overeat, and that will contribute to weight gain and disease development. The other part of part one was chronic stress, right? Stress is a big contributor to overeating because uh, you know, stress hormones can improve with carbohydrate intake, but also because people find that eating can be comforting and it's a distraction and it can help them to. Let me fix this. Sorry, my thing got a little off here. It's a distraction and it helps them to not think about the things that are stressing them out. So oftentimes people will turn to food as a stress management strategy, and it's really a unhealthy habit, and it's very easy to overeat if you're relying on food to help reduce your stress. No amount of eating, unless the stress is due to hunger, no amount of eating is going to fix whatever's stressing you out. So you have to implement healthy stress management protocols or address your stressors as they are coming along. Do whatever is necessary to address the stressor so you can actually improve that. Going and eating doesn't get rid of the stress and allows you to overeat, so you're just causing more stress to your body and a new problem, with disease or weight gain that you'll have to deal with later on. So as you can see, Eating as a form of stress management is a very unhealthy and counterproductive approach. So you don't want to eat as your as to help reduce stress. It's not going to help. So, does anybody have any questions about part one, about the impact that processed foods have on overeating or stress? I'll give you guys a chance. For any new people, my name is Tamika. I'm a nurse practitioner and holistic health and wellness coach and holistic weight loss coach. And I help people reverse chronic diseases. I help people, improve their symptoms and achieve healthy, sustainable weight loss through diet and lifestyle changes. I am a practicing provider and I work, in medicine. I prescribe and I diagnose and I, order studies and I do all the things a nurse practitioner does, full time. But then I also like to help people on the entire opposite end of the spectrum, help them just escape the claws of the healthcare industry and the pharmaceutical industry. And that is definitely possible with diet and lifestyle changes. All right, so video two, part two about the common causes of overeating. The first part was boredom. And this can be especially problematic if you work from home, because you're there and maybe you don't have a busy schedule or a lot to do for your work, and your mind starts wandering onto food, and you start to think about your snacks. And if you're working from home, it's easy to just go into your fridge or go into your pantry and grab something to, kind of snack on while you're waiting for your next assignment or something else to do. So it's very easy to overeat when you're bored. And so, how do you fix that? Stay busy, right? Try to be productive, find something to do. If you're sitting around and not doing anything, and you find that at those times you're eating more, which will lead to unfavorable outcomes like gaining weight or insulin resistance, and depending on what you're eating, especially if you're eating processed foods and junk foods, which is what people generally do when they're looking for a snack. They're going to go and get some chips, or they're going to go get a donut or something like that. And so now you're eating, foods that have no nutrients and are in abundance of calories and chemicals that will make you want to eat them more. And you find that you get into the habit of eating when you're bored. And so that is also a very unhealthy habit. And so you need to stay productive. If you find that this is happening often, make sure you have things set out that you can do when you're not busy. Whether it's reading, going for a walk, assisting someone else that you're working with, or a coworker, helping them out. Find something else to do. Stay out of the break room. Stay out of your kitchen, and do not eat if you're not really hungry. Okay, food is not entertainment. Okay, and you should focus on eating when you're hungry. Otherwise, you should not be eating. Okay, that should be the case a majority of the time. Now, if maybe you're meeting up with friends or family and things like that, and you end up eating, thanks for the like, you end up eating a little sooner than you typically would. If that happens occasionally, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. But if you're doing that frequently, if you're just eating throughout the day because you're bored and you have nothing to do, that is going to be detrimental for your health. The second thing was under eating. Yes, under eating can result in overeating later on. So if you find that, and this is common, people think that they've stumbled upon the holy grail of weight loss, and that is, I'm just going to save my calories, right? I'm not going to eat that much throughout the day. You don't eat, and or when you do eat, whatever, you're going to have a small amount of whatever it is, especially if it's some junk food product. So you have undernutrition and a decrease in your energy consumption. So that's double whammy, right? And you do that throughout the day, and you think, oh, I'll save my calories for later. And then when you get home, you're eating the entire kitchen because you're so hungry from not eating all day, right? And then you find that you've far overeaten at the end of the day more than you would have eaten the entire day if you would have just eaten a reasonable amount of food all day. Okay, so the point is, if you find that that's what you're doing, stop it, right? So just eat regularly throughout the day, and once again, eat whole foods, meat, eggs, fruits, and vegetables. That should be the foundation of your diet. And if you're eating that regularly throughout the day, you're less likely to overeat at the end of the day. Now, for some people, they just don't have much of an appetite, and that's okay. You eat until you're comfortably full, and or maybe they'll have small meals throughout the day, and then they'll have a larger dinner because they're eating with their family, and that's just how their schedule is. That's fine as long as it's not resulting in consistent overeating. And so, once again, if you find that you're under eating because you're trying to save calories throughout the day for you to eat a nice hearty meal at the end of the day, but you have a hard time controlling yourself when you get to that hearty meal at the end of the day and you're overeating, then that defeats the purpose. So avoid under eating if it leads to overeating later on. Okay, so that was part two. If anybody has any questions about part two, feel free to, drop your questions or your comments. And for any new people, once again, my name is Tamika. I'm a nurse practitioner and holistic health and weight loss coach. So part three was eating too quickly. And as I mentioned in the video, I'm notorious for doing that, especially, as a nurse, my nursing days especially, it's like, yeah, you eat and work, right? Actually, I still do that now, unfortunately, as a nurse practitioner. I'm still eating and work and doing notes and things like that. So you find that you have to eat quickly because you have other things to do. And unfortunately, that has just transitioned to all aspects of my life, and I just eat fast no matter what. So, what I do to help keep myself from overeating, because the problem is when you eat too fast, you're not giving your brain a chance to assess how full your stomach is, how distended your stomach is becoming, which will trigger those satiety signaling. If you're eating faster than your brain has a chance to send you those signals, you will find at the end of your meal you are excessively stuffed and you're actually surprised that you're so full. And if that's the case, that means you could have stopped eating much sooner. But because you were eating so fast, you didn't get the signal that you were full, so you just blew through all the food. So how you fix that? You just have to eat slower. That's one option. Eat slower, mindful eating, being present in the moment and enjoying your meal. Taking the time to savor your food, chew your food properly, and just enjoy the opportunity to have that meal and eat mindfully. And with that, that can help to slow you down and you'll be more aware of when you're actually feeling full and you can stop eating sooner. So that's one option if you can handle that. And honestly, that's probably that's one of the more challenging things for me because once again, no matter what, I just kind of I'm eating and I'm moving on to the next thing. So what I tend to do is just serve myself either smaller portion sizes or I will use smaller plates, and I'll get to the plate thing. I mentioned that in another video. So you can use smaller plates or smaller portion sizes, and then you just eat it. Eat it at whatever your normal rate that you eat. But then at the end of that, you got to give yourself about 10 minutes to feel it out. Am I full? Am I comfortable? Or am I really still hungry? Was that not enough food? And if at the end of about 10 minutes, you still feel hungry, then go and get, you can get a little bit more. Just don't overdo it. But you will often find at the end of 10 minutes, you're satisfied and you don't really need more food, and the desire to eat has essentially gone away. So that's one approach. Another thing with the mindful eating or the problem with eating too quickly is in addition to overeating, and it can lead to weight gain and things like that, is that it can really disrupt your digestion. A lot of times when you're overeating and you over distend your stomach, you can you can find that your digestion is off, and you start to feel bloated and gassy, and you have some issues with your bowel habits. So that's another incentive to eat more slowly, because that can help to improve your digestion. So that was part 3. Now part 4, uh, the the first cause for part 4 of the common causes of overeating for any new people. That's what we're talking about today. Common causes of overeating. I released 5 videos in regards to that, and I just wanted to wrap up, those concepts today, and see if anybody had any thoughts or any questions about it. Feel free to drop any thoughts or questions. So part 4 is cleaning your plate. And yes, I'm reading it because I can't remember. Cleaning your plate instead of listening to your satiety signals. And so yeah, how often does that happen? That's pretty frequent, right? You get a plate of food, especially if it's very delicious food. And this happens to everyone. It's like there's not that much left. You're full. You could even be stuffed, but you're like, "Ugh, I just got to finish this. It tastes so good." So that's one thing. For some people, they think they have this moral obligation, like if I don't finish my food, some starving kid is suffering because I'm wasting food. So that's, some people kind of grow up, you're being told throughout childhood, right? Finish your food, finish the plate of food. So that often comes with us into adulthood, and then we feel like we must finish all the food on our plate. That is going to cause overeating, right? You don't have to finish all the food on your plates, and you have no moral obligation. You're not saving yourself or anybody any money by overeating. So if you feel full, just stop eating. Don't look at how much food is on your plate. Listen to what your body is telling you. Okay, pay attention to those hunger and satiety signals. Do you still feel hungry? Do you still feel like you could eat more, or do you feel comfortably full? And remember, when I say feel full or feel satisfied, that doesn't mean stuffed. That doesn't mean that it's like, okay, now I can't take another bite. You should stop eating before that. That is already overeating. And so if you look at the scale, like a hunger and satiety scale, if 0 or 1 is ravenous, and 10 is you're stuffed to capacity, like you're going to be sick, you probably want to stop eating around a 6 to 7 ish. And the more often you do that, or the longer you do that, the more you'll find that you feel comfortable stopping at that point. And if you overeat, it becomes exceedingly uncomfortable. So, which is a good thing, because now your body is just more in tune with how much food do you really need to function and to feel satisfied. So try to stop eating around a 6 or 7. Don't really let it get up there, to those higher, more. Your stomach is just distended, and you're uncomfortable. Like every meal shouldn't feel like Thanksgiving. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. Right? We all generally overeat on Thanksgiving. If that's how you feel with every meal, you're doing yourself a disservice, and you're going to cause weight gain and disease. Period. Okay. So don't clean your plate. So what can you do about that? Just like with eating too quickly, it is serving yourself. If you feel like you cannot overcome that visual cue of your plate still having food on it, then serve a smaller plate of food, or serve smaller portion sizes, and that's it. Some people might do things like push the plate away once they feel full, or just take your dirty napkin and throw it on the plate. Or you could be extreme and pour water in it or something like that to destroy the food, so you're not tempted to go back and have more. That's kind of extreme. But if you really want to not waste food and save money, then serve smaller portions, eat it, give yourself 10 minutes, and then if you're satisfied, fantastic. If you still feel hungry, you go and get a little more. that is the way that you'll save, because any leftover food you have, you could put that away, and it's not going to be on your plate, and you're not going to feel obligated to eat it. Okay, so cleaning your plate, that's another cause of overeating. And then the next one is eating at a specified time instead of when you're actually hungry. And a lot of people do this, right? You have breakfast at, whatever specific time. You bring some snacks with you. You have your mid-morning snack. You have your lunchtime at a specified time. You have a mid-afternoon snack, and then you have your dinner, and some people may even have a bedtime snack. And these are all kind of predetermined at a certain time. But what you need to ask yourself is, do you feel hungry at that time? When you get to, if you're not fasting in the morning, and that's, I've talked about that in other videos, just fasting in general, that and that's actually a cause of overeating. So I'm going to address that. But if you're not fasting and you have, let's say breakfast, you have an early breakfast, specifically, then when if you have a mid-morning snack prepared at a certain time, you should be asking yourself, are you really hungry when it gets to that time? Don't just eat it because it's 10:30 and that's mid-morning snack time, right? So always assess your hunger before you go and you're just eating whatever. Thank you so much for all the likes, low, if that's how you say it. I really appreciate your support. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. Um, so yeah. So are you really hungry at 10:30, and then and so you have your mid morning snack, and then lunchtime is at noon or one. Are you are you hungry then after having your mid morning snack? That's how you say it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, Laura. I appreciate you. So, are you hungry at noon after you just had your mid morning snack at 10:30, and then your mid afternoon snack is 2:30 or 3 o'clock? Are you actually hungry at that time? And then you have dinner at 5 or 6 o'clock. Are you hungry at that time? And then are you hungry right before you go to bed? Really? Are you really hungry that often? And so those are just things to be mindful of, is don't just eat based on the time. Listen to your body. Okay, but what I will clarify is, if missing that snack or a particular meal makes you ravenous when it's time for the next meal, and you tend to overeat on that next meal, then you need to have a fine balance there. So you need to have a balance between overeating and then undereating, because if you're missing meals, and that is creating a situation of undereating, which will make you excessively hungry by the time your next meal comes around, that can be problematic for you as well. So just be mindful of that. The goal isn't for you to skip meals and then you overeat later on, but then again, you also don't want to just eat because of what time of day it is, right? So just pay attention to those hunger signals. And as I mentioned over and over again, listen, when you have a very processed food diet, ultra processed diet, you are going to feel more hungry, period. So it's challenging to say, okay, yeah, I'm just going to listen to my hunger and satiety signals when you have a heavily processed food diet, or when you're under chronic stress. And these are all things that I talk about, throughout all of my videos. You could go back and look at some of my other videos, but these are all things that have to be addressed. If you want to adopt a healthy diet and lifestyle, you have to consume more whole foods, because then that will make your hunger and satiety signals normalize, and you can trust them. But if you eat a very processed diet, it's hard to trust those signals, because you could have literally eaten something an hour and a half ago, and now you're hungry again. You feel hungry, genuinely hungry. And it's because you're not consuming enough nutrients, and then the processed foods are disrupting your hunger signals and your satiety signals. So an important part of fixing the overeating problem is eating more whole foods. Okay, that is foundational, is having a more whole foods diet, so that you can start to trust those hunger and satiety signals. They will start to normalize because you're giving your body proper nutrients to function optimally. And then you'll find that you don't feel as hungry. Okay. So just a FYI there. And then you'll find over time you don't have to eat as often because your body is truly satisfied with the nutrients that you've given it. And because you're more in tune, and you're not just eating out of habit, you can really discern, am I truly hungry, or am I just a little dehydrated and I need to drink? Or am I mistaking, mistaking hunger for oh, I just realized I forgot a step. Am I mistaking hunger because I'm under stress? And it's like I went to I'm looking back and I missed video number three. Actually, video number three. Oh no, I did talk about it. It was eating too quickly, but the second part of that is emotional eating. I didn't get to address the emotional eating. Someone had mentioned in the comments for that video that that was a big problem, or for a previous video that emotional eating was a big problem for them. So I want to make sure I talk about that. So, but the thing is that emotional eating, it's just like eating because of chronic stress, and the emotions, that is a stressor. That is a stressor. So what you have to consider. Thank you, Latrice, for the likes as well. Appreciate you. So Lo and Latrice, appreciate your likes. Um, Emotional eating is you're eating for comfort. Okay, you're eating for comfort versus boredom. When you're eating out of boredom, you're eating for entertainment. With emotional eating, you're eating for comfort. Okay. And with stress eating, you're eating for comfort but also to help as a stress management approach. All of those things are terrible habits to get into because it you feel better. You feel better temporarily. You feel better in the moment, but it is harming your health in the long run. Whatever you're feeling from an emotional standpoint, and often it's a negative emotion, but even if it's something positive and exciting and you want to celebrate with whatever meal, if you're celebrating every day or multiple times a week, then that's just emotional eating, right? So no amount of food is going to fix whatever it is that created the emotion. Okay, just keep reminding yourself of that. If you're an emotional eater, no amount of food is going to fix whatever caused you to feel whatever you felt. Okay, so you need to address the emotion. Okay, you need to address the stress, you need to address the boredom. Food is not the answer for any of those things, even if it temporarily makes you feel better. In the end, you're going to have a new problem, weight gain and disease, things like that, because of eating excessively or because of the overeating. So, emotional eating, the answer is not to turn to food to quench the emotions. The answer is to turn to whatever it is that caused the emotion and address your problem. And yes, that's going to take courage. That's going to take maybe some planning. That's going to take some, self reflection. There's a lot of things that will go into it, but it will be worth it, because eating is not going to fix that in any way. And then the next time that happens, whatever that thing is, are you going to turn to food again? Obviously, it didn't fix it the first time. So, and then every time you turn to food for that emotion, you are now creating an unhealthy relationship with food. You look at food, it has become a crutch for you. And that's the same thing with chronic stress and boredom. Okay, so that's the case there. So sorry about that. I had forgot to talk about the emotional eating. I went on to the next video. Okay, so then part four, that was part three. Part four, we talked about was cleaning your plate instead of listening to satiety signals, and then eating at a specified time, right? And we don't want to do that. If you find that the snack time or whatever time comes around, assess how hungry you truly feel. And if you're not very hungry, then you could skip it. Honestly, don't eat it just because it's time to eat it. All right. And number five, before we get to number five, once again, everyone, thank you for the likes, thank you for sharing. If if you are suffering from some health or weight issues and you would like to explore coaching, holistic diet and lifestyle changes to help your situation, you can click the link in my bio and you can schedule a free consultation on my website. And you can also, if you go to my website, you can get a free PDF to help get you started. And it's called The 3 Reasons You're Sick and Overweight and How to Fix It. So feel free to go check that out. So, part 5 is prolonged fasting. And so, yes, there's been a lot of fasting talk with me lately because previously I was advising against fasting, and it doesn't mean I recommend fasting for everyone, but fasting is, there's a lot of nuance there, in the sense that I think that people run into problems with fasting because they do it under circumstances where fasting is just not a good idea for them. They're not in a healthy place to fast. Uh, Either with their relationship with food, they suffer from food obsession, or because of other disease processes and other illnesses that might be going on, fasting may not be the best option for them. But because of, there's so much hype around fasting, people just want to implement it because, oh, I'm going to get rapid weight loss or whatever. It's going to help with longevity. So there's a lot of hype around fasting, and people tend to implement it prematurely, and then I feel like they run into problems. But assuming that you have all of that under control, and you have implemented fasting and you're doing fine with fasting, how much you can fast is very individualized. And if you're fasting more than your body can handle, you may find that you're overeating later on. So let's say, the 16-8 intermittent fasting, and you decide to skip breakfast and you're intermittent fasting, but when you're so hungry when you get to lunch that you're eating everything, right? You ate whatever you packed for lunch, you ate whatever was in the break room at work, or if you work from home, you're going into your fridge and you're going into your pantry to eat everything there, right? That's obviously, that defeats the purpose, right? So if you find that you're eating more later on than you would have eaten if you would have just had 3 normal meals, let's say, then fasting may not be a good option for you. Okay, but let's say you can do intermittent fasting, a 12, a 16-8, and when you get to lunchtime, you're fine. You could just have a normal lunch and it's not a big deal. You're not overeating. Okay, perfect. But if you fast longer than that, right? Let's say you try to do a 20-hour fast or 1 meal a day kind of situation. When you get to that meal, you're just so ravenous, and you're eating as much as you can in this short amount of time because you're just so hungry. Then and you are overeating unnecessarily because you fasted longer than your body could tolerate. Another thing to consider is, throughout your fasting window, are you fixated on food? Are you just obsessed with your next meal? You can't wait to get to your next meal. And then that all of that anxiety gets built up around your eating. And then when you finally get to eat, you're just, consuming everything. And you're in this situation where you're likely to overeat. That means you're fasting longer than what is safe or healthy for you. So, what do you do about that? You really need to assess how you're feeling before, during, and after your fast. If you find that when it's time to break your fast, you are literally on pins and needles, you can't wait to eat. It's just like this terrible experience. And then when you're eating, you're just so hungry that you're eating a bunch of processed foods on top of it. If you're running to processed foods to break your fast because you're just so ravenous and you want to eat everything, don't fast. Okay, that defeats the purpose. Or just shorten your fasting window. Okay, so if when I say prolonged fasting, and what makes it prolonged, that is very individualized. So you just have to really listen to your body and be more in tune with your body and how you feel, like I said, before, during, and after your fast, to help you determine when is it safe to break your fast so that you're not reversing or outdoing all of the benefits that you would have had with the fasting. So just be mindful of that. When you're breaking your fast, how do you feel with the food? What kind of foods are you eating, and how much are you actually eating? Are you really going to town on that food because you fasted too long? So that's another reason for overeating. And then last but not least is thinking that you've earned more food because of your increased physical activity, right? And so people think, oh, they get up and they go to the gym and they're like, yeah, after that gym, let me, I had this great workout. I'm going to go to IHOP and have this big pancake breakfast and all of these, whatever. Or it's like, yeah, you're going to go and have happy hour and you're going to just indulge because you did this great workout. If you do that periodically is one thing, but if you're doing that consistently, you're running on the treadmill and you're counting those calories and you're like, oh, it looks like I burned an additional 500 calories on this treadmill. First of all, a lot of times that is it's inaccurate. It's inaccurate. You're often not burning as much calories as you think with your physical activity. And then remember, for the average person, no amount of exercise can outdo a terrible diet. You can easily, that 500 calories that you burned, that you think you burned on the treadmill, you can easily replace that with, I don't know, a donut and a half, or some candy bar, or even like one of those fancy Starbucks drinks, right? Easily. So don't fool yourself into thinking that you're training so hard, because most people overestimate how much effort they're really putting into their training. Uh, don't think that you're training so hard that you can somehow afford to eat a ton more food. That's not the case. So so don't waste the effort that you did. You But remember, exercise isn't just about burning calories. Exercise isn't just about weight loss. There's a lot of health benefits. So if you are of the mindset that you're just exercising because of your weight, that's something that you truly need to revisit, and understand that there's a lot of other benefits. Because when you get to a point, if you get to a point where you and this happens, whatever, you're lacking motivation for your weight loss efforts, and then your exercise kind of falls by the wayside. There's a lot of other things that exercise was doing for you. It helps with your mental health. It helps with your insulin sensitivity, improving your muscle mass, improving longevity, your mobility. And so there's a lot of benefits to physical activity. So don't just be active because you think that now you can eat more, because a majority of the time, whatever amount of activity you think you're doing that is going to allow you to afford more food, it's not balanced. Okay. So wow, that was a lot, because let's see, my last few lives, I haven't had as much people kind of joining and things like that. So I haven't been on as long, but this was good. I appreciate all of you guys for sticking around. And once again, if you find this information helpful, you can please follow my page. And once again, you can click the link in my bio for my website. You can get your free little gift on there, or you can schedule a free consultation if you want to learn about how um, health and weight loss coaching can help you get to your goals. And so, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great night. And follow, and you can join me again the next time we're on. Hopefully, that'll be soon. But thanks again, guys. Take care of yourselves.